Hello and good night. I just want to come on because I want to tell you something that happened to me this week that is just a mystery. So I was in the store and this lady asked me, I was just passing by and she said to me, "Can you read the label of this package?" Because she left her glasses. So, of course, I'm an elderly lady. I naturally do what most people do. I stop and I help her. And then I was telling her like some of these organic processed food still has a lot of salt, so just be careful anyway because we're comparing two of them. And she asked my opinion, and then somewhere along the conversation we were talking about God, and then she asked me if there's any person that I haven't forgive, and I'm like, well, I think I'm a good person. I try not to hold unforgiveness in my heart because I know God cannot live in unforgiving heart. Then she said, she believed there's someone. Mind you, I never seen this lady from when I was born. I don't know, never seen her. She don't know me, I don't know her. It could have just been anybody else passing by. I just have to go back to that aisle come. I thought I forget to get something, and that's why I end up seeing her there trying to squint and read the label on her package. Then she said there was somebody that I haven't forgive. I'm like, lady, I don't know. I know God does not live in unforgiving heart, and I try my best to live a life of forgiveness. Then she asked if I could just drop her to her house, which she mentioned I was close by. And I'm like, usually I don't do this, and I would never have taken someone as total stranger. But I trust her, and I took her. And it just happened that this was next to a place that I used to live. We didn't really end on good terms. So she said, I think that house been sold many years ago. This was like over 15 years, okay? And right at part there, and I was telling her the story. And that's what about unforgiveness. Unforgiveness, I find out, is that you tend to have a story. So I was telling her the story, what she did and everything. And then I saw a young man. I'm like, did you buy this house from the owner? He said, no, no, no. That owner is my family. I'm like, they still live there? So I'm like, go get your family, go get your mom. And let me tell you, that reconciliation was one of the best I've ever had. I did not even know that I did not forgive this lady because that peace that I felt, the talk that I had for all these years, I cannot describe it. It was an undescribable peace. It felt so good to say, I forgive you. Let's reconcile. Let's forget the past. Let's move on. It was not like no other. And it just happened that she said, okay, that's it. Now let's take me home. And she happened to live like 3 houses from where that lady was. And I'm like, man, that can only be God. What are the odds? So I just want to come on and say, check yourself. See if there's someone that you think you may have forgiven, but you haven't forgiven them. Because another thing too is like, when you don't forgive, you tend to think about that person over and over and over. It's like they're just living in your head, right? And not only are they living in your head, but they are like, you remember the story of Joseph in the Bible? When his brothers do so much harm to him. I heard a pastor once said Joseph didn't spend, well, it was 11 years. 11 years as a slave, 2 years in the prison. But he didn't spend all those 13 years complaining over and over. Because I think when you complain, it brings the hurt back. You feel it in your gut. You feel it in your brain. You have headaches. You feel nauseous. Because I think unforgiveness comes with anger. And anger is an emotion, right? That's why God knows it has a total body effect. and He knows the toll it takes on the body. I have friends who have break up from a relationship when they were younger or divorced, and then they blame. They're like, oh, I could have had a child, I could have a family, but he broke up and never get married again. And you could hear the hurt in their voice. Meanwhile, that person has move on, new relationship, new family, but the hurt just keep going on and on. And that's what that pastor was talking about, carrying hurt when the other person have long gone, forget about you, forget about everything else. So forgiveness is not really for those other people. Forgiveness is something that we all need, right? It's not, a matter of fact, I don't think it's an option. As a Christian, we even prayed, right? Lord, forgive us. Uh, Forgive us our debts as you forgive us. So it's reciprocal, right? We forgive and God forgive us. And God is a God of mercy and forgiveness. And if we are Christians, we should be like Him, right? So we have to be a God of forgiveness and mercy. But like I say, it's not about complaining. I think if we still find ourselves complaining about this person, or still have that feeling of anger, we haven't forgive. It's still there. And sometimes I believe we just have to come to God and ask God to guide us, show us these people that needs your forgiveness, and help you to deal with it, help you to forget about what they have done. I remember this pastor was saying, can you imagine Joseph spending all these years complaining and not forgiving? He did forgive his brothers, right? Joseph forgave his brothers. But another key fact is that forgiveness does not mean reconciliation, right? You can forgive, but you don't have to be with that person. You don't have to put yourself back in that danger zone, right? To make yourself vulnerable. And I always go back to Joseph's story. I'm sure there's other stories there too. There are other stories in the Bible. I have to dedicate myself to read more and to study the Bible more. But Joseph's story, when he was in Potiphar's house, he has all the ability to go back to his brothers and reconcile, but he didn't do that, right? But we know he long forgave his brothers long before they came to get grains from the famine. We know he forgave them a long time ago, because when he was in Potiphar's house, Potiphar noticed that God was with him, right? When he was in the jail, the jailer noticed that God was with him, and everything he did prosper. We can't prosper under unforgiveness. It's not possible. We can't prosper if we have anger. We can't prosper if we don't have love. We can't prosper if we don't have mercy, right? So we know he had for long forgiven his brothers. And I think that story is for all of us who are struggling with unforgiveness. I think God give us that ability to. God give us, He show us what to do. He even show us a story. I think there was another story with the gentleman who was forgiven, and when he's trying to forgive somebody else, he was so angry he had him thrown in jail or something. And I think I'm not even sure how that story goes, but he did not show mercy. Someone showed him mercy and he refused to show mercy to someone else. And sometimes too, we like, oh, I can't forgive that. That's too much. But can you imagine what we do to God? And yet we ask Him to forgive. Sometimes I have to remind myself, you have to forgive because we want forgiveness from God, right? But He did it so many times. How am I supposed to forgive Him? But look how many times we sin. What did He say we should forgive 70 times 7? That's really a lot of number, a lot of times to forgive, because some of us don't even forgive once. I'm guilty of that, right? It's struggle to forgive. I do struggle with that, but we all struggle with forgiveness, especially when the hurt is so deep. But we pray and we fast and we ask God to help us to forgive. And we find in our heart to forgive. But I think I'm gonna have to dig a little deeper and find it in my heart and my soul and my body and my mind and my entire being, because that's where forgiveness is. Forgiveness is not just saying I forgive you. Forgiveness is not forgiving today and bring it back tomorrow. Forgiveness is not holding a grudge for years. And sometimes we can't even we have to really examine ourselves, right? We examine ourselves, and then we say, wait a minute, did I really forgive this person? Why am I bringing it up again? So I was talking to my friend, and she was like, well, maybe what we need to pray for is forgiveness and forget. So we forget about the hurt, we forget about the pain. Ask God to help us to release that, and by doing so, it will help us with the healing. Because I think forgiveness and healing goes hand in hand, right? When we forgive, we have to give ourselves time to heal as well, and we got to make ourselves feel that hurt. We can't put a band-aid on it because it's still there. It's still a band-aid won't help. We have to address it. We have to pay attention to it. We have to um, help it to heal. It's a process. It's a big process, a deep process. What God requires of us. He didn't say it was going to be easy. He had to go to the cross, right? He had to suffer our sins. That was a deep forgiveness. It wasn't an easy one. And not only that, but we keep sinning. It's, Lord, forgive me for what I do. Then we go back and do it the next day. Lord, forgive me for what I do. We go back the next day. Lord, forgive me for what I do. I know you went on the cross. I know you died for me. You do so much for me, but yet I sin. You forgiven me, yet I do it again. Forgive me, right? So when you feel like someone has hurt you so wrong that you can't forgive or you won't forgive because it's so deep, don't forget that if we don't forgive, we cannot be forgiven. If we don't show mercy, guess what? We ain't gonna get it either. And I'm so glad that I decided to take this walk of Christianity. It has opened my eyes to realize that we just have to be a Christian. We just have to follow God's rule. We just have to do the right thing. There's no way around it. It's not an option. It's not for us to say I can't forgive, because that means we're all doomed, right? That means there's no hope. There's nothing. There's no love. There's no life. Because forgiveness is living. Love is living. Mercy is living. Favor is living. Receiving grace is living. My God, it's a lot. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I want to come on here and talk about. Just forgiveness. I'm going to study it some more. I'm going to work with a pastor on it, because I think this is so big, this is so deep, and it's something that we sometimes take a little lightly. And I have a lot of friends. They would say, I remember my friend, her mom just passed, and then she found out that her dad, which they don't have a relationship, she haven't talked to him for years, that he was very sick. He was on dialysis. And I remember she came to New York, and I'm like, aren't you going to see your dad or to call him? And she's like, I can't do that. I can't do that. Because remember when my mom was sick, he didn't even care. He didn't even call. He lay abandoned us. He left us. I can't do that. And I'm like, wow. She was hurting. She was really, really hurting. But so we know it's real. We know the hurt is real. We know it's hard. But be nailed on the cross, suffer, beaten, take our place, that hurts too. If he can do it, he said he go ahead of us, right? He's showing us what can be done. And we know if he can do it, He will give us the strength to do it, as well. But we have to understand that it hurts, and we're gonna need His guidance to do it. And until we can do it by ourselves, I think we have to come to Him in prayer. I think we have to acknowledge where we are in the healing process, and give ourselves time to heal. Give ourselves time to process it. Give ourselves time to acknowledge and to really, process that process of forgiveness, the process of healing. But yeah, it's real, man. It's real. It's deep, and only God can help us. So you, me, all of us struggling with this, we know God is going to help us. We know God is going to get us to that place where we have peace. We know God is going to take us to the place where we can forgive wholeheartedly. No matter how many times, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend that you did everything for. You gave you would give anything for that friend, and yet they hurt you so badly. Maybe it's a spouse that abandoned you, that make you feel so unworthy, that took everything. They run away with your best friend. Maybe it's money that you lent someone and they never repay you and ruin everything for you. You lose your business, your house, you lose your family. It's deep. You have to find that place of peace. You have to find that place where you can forgive, where you're at peace with God. It's not about them. They have long gone. They don't even think about you. And you don't want to seek revenge, because vengeance is mine, said the Lord, I will repay, right? But sometimes they're hurting too. And sometimes they're waiting for your forgiveness for themselves to heal. Sometimes forgiveness is both ways, right? Forgiveness for you and forgiveness for the other person. Because they themselves don't even know sometimes why they do what they do. Something they're operating under a different spirit. It's not God. And they themselves may have a lot of issues that they themselves is dealing with. So sometimes by you praying for your own forgiveness, and God allow you to be at that place where you can truly love them, forgive them, show them mercy. Guess what? By you doing that, they have get redemption. They get to be at peace, and God would be able to use them. Sometimes God used the worst of us, right? The worst of us for the greater good. So who knows, by you forgiving them and they have a change of heart, people look at their life and like, wow, that's one of the worst person out there. But look at that. God have changed him so he can change me. You never know what God is going to use that person for. And then I go back to Joseph's story, right? Because Judah, one of Joseph's brother, was one of them that threw him in the well, beaten him, threw him in the well, right? But sometime later, he asks that they sell him to the Ishmaelite slaves, the Ishmaelite slave traders. So he's like, let not, I think it says, let not the blood of Joseph be on our hand. Let's not murder him. Let's just sell him as slave. And Joseph could have said, wow, at least he didn't let me die. But when they come for the famine, I think also when Joseph was gonna throw Benjamin in prison, you want to see if they had changed. Judah was the one that says, hey, tell you what, I don't want this one to go like our brother Joseph that was dead, because they didn't know who Joseph was. He's like, oh, let's just take me instead. Let me go to jail. Send him back to our father. Let our father live out his whole years in peace. Let him not, because if he lose Benjamin, he's going to die. So he was willing to sacrifice for his little brother. And Joseph realized that they had changed; they were no longer evil, and he let them come and live with him. Right? He revealed himself to them, and he let them come and live with him. My daughter did a sermonette on Joseph, so I learned the story again in a more deep way. God bless her heart, because I think I needed to hear that. But Judah was also the person who his Jesus comes from the line of Judah, right? So if if Joseph did not forgive his brothers, who knows where we probably would be lost. He would have blocked and not only that, but um, God had promised Abraham that he would have children like the stars, right? His generation would be like the stars. So the same line, the same brothers that he forgave and saved them from the famine, he could have let them stay there and die. I mean, what would he have lost, right? They have hurt him so bad, he would have like, well, I don't care about you guys. I'm not gonna put myself there anymore. But no, he realized they were changed, and that was another thing that his pastor was talking about. He's like, Joseph did not reconcile until he realized that they were changed. He won't put himself back in that same position for them to hurt him again. But once he realized they had changed, he reconciled with them. So I'm not saying to run out there and say, I'm put yourself back in the same situation of the person who hurt you, because most likely if they haven't changed, if they're still evil, it's going to happen again, right? But we should always seek to show mercy, show forgiveness, right? Well, where was I? Oh yeah, so Judah, Joseph, we don't know who. When you forgive that person, we don't know if that was God's plan, right? Because Abraham, I was saying that all the brothers that survived the famine, including um, all of Joseph's brothers, they were the one that become the Jewish nation. And from there, they grew and grew, come with thousands and thousands. So there was the uh, plan for Abraham was through Joseph's decision to be forgiven, to show forgiveness and to show love to his brothers. So we don't know what God's intention is. So we're not supposed to block that, right? Because of our hardened heart and our unforgiveness.